Way to the world.
You're emotionally drained, ain't you? You want to be emotional roller coaster. Yeah, settle that. It's going to be a couple weeks for you to settle that.
Yeah, no, that's why
I'm getting trying to work, right?
Can't get it to work. May have a copy something because of complaining not having too much success with this. I want to bring you some stuff directly off my computer from a couple of old unpublished stuff that we want to go on, but due to the fact I can't get the projector to work right, we'll go ahead and work with something else. So there's always stuff to do. Islam Morris. Magistrates commit tax fraud when they fail to disclose their delegation of authority order. And remember, all this stuff can be and should be asked for in your quo warranto, or even in a discovery, which is related. You can put your discovery within the quo warranto, if you choose to do so. They fail to disclose their EIN. Now keep in mind, because whenever they demand finances from you, that they must report it. And therefore the EIN and the OID go together. Are we clear?
Yes.
So when they so-called say they're going to fine you or they're going to force you for whatever, you ask them for 1099 and their EIN number for the record. And it's better to do it, in written form, because most of them don't have what you call records, deliberately because they know that they're doing human trafficking. And then a lot of times they'll alter the records anyway. But make sure you ask for that. And reasons tax fraud, why is it tax fraud? Let's just talk. Why is it tax fraud? Why are we saying it's tax fraud?
Moors don't pay taxes.
Say it again?
Moors don't pay taxes.
No, yes, but that's not the issue. With the magistrates,
they're public servants.
because they're agents for the IRS. And because they're bankers, because the ventures a bank, they must report all so-called income. And when you give them anything, it's listed as income. It's not, that's your pecuniary property. But when they demand it from you, it becomes income and it should be reported. Therefore, during the transaction, they should be giving you 1099 and their EIN number so you can report it as you giving them income on your, whatever you want to say, to the plain IRS guys.
The fact that they don't give you those things, why it's tax fraud, they only plan on reporting.
Exactly, which means that they're stealing.
They're tax absconders.
That's
Say
just
again.
They're tax absconders.
Yes, they're tax absconders.
slush fund.
Translation, tax fraud. But very often, and also when you ask them for their bond number, the bid bond, and remember they get receipts for the bonds because whenever they have a case before the court, they create a bid bond, performance bond, ETC, and they get receipts for the stuff that they're cashing in, and that's part of the case. And you can ask for that receipt. Let me see the receipt to the bid bond. Fred. It's not, go ahead, brother.
You want to ask for the 1040?
Y'all got
Y'all
this?
write this down. Write it down. You want to ask for a copy of the 1040,
Yes.
a copy of the 1099, 1099A, 1099 OID, $1040B.
That's a bid.
1040 and a 1040B.
A too?
A, B, A, 1040A and B, yes.
Yes.
Be like what? Be like
Victim.
And
Now, if you do this in your writs moving forward, what you're going to find is a different attitude.
yeah.
They'll change their tune immensely to hurry up and shuffle you along because you're undressing them.
Yeah. And keep in mind, this is another reason why you want to, whenever you're communicating with them, and while the case is going on, while you immediately post it up for the public record so it can be easily followed by anyone. Because they're not going to publish your stuff, so you should publish your own stuff. Right? Any additions?
This is for y'all to study, all right? I haven't perfected this. It's for y'all to study.
But it's
Write
all
this down
down.
too. 2330. On 2330.
Hold on.
I want y'all to study that and look that up.
Form
2330. It's a whistleblower form. And the real deal is this. If they give you a case number, they give you a case number, within 72 hours of you having that case number, it has been turned into a security. And it is on the stock market. Within 72 hours of you being issued a case number. That means all the proceeds that come in because of that case number, because they're betting on it, like they're gambling. It's like they're gambling. You're going to pay, you're not going to pay, whatever, they're gambling. All the proceeds that come in on that, they pool them together, not just yours all by itself. They get turned in every night, they bundle them together, put them on the stock market. In 72 hours, it's reaping benefits. Those benefits are going directly into what's called the court investment registry, CRIS account. Court registry investment system. CRIS account.
That's like Chris.
Court registry investment system, CRIS. Those funds are taxed at 100%. They do not report. That is their slush fund. That's why judges don't care what you say. They just process you because they've got plans on spending that. They see the dollar signs. So, I look like that. We're gonna move on. You sound like them. So now this is close for y'all. That is where the majority of the fraud is coming from. Because that fraud goes from the clerk at the window, right on up, all the way through. So that means when that judge, this is what happens. You got a copy with your little docket number on it, your little case number on it. But the judge got a copy with the CUSIP number on it, where they turned it into an instrument. They turned it into a security. The judge looks over on the back of it. If you ever watch them judges, they'll flip the paper over. When they flip the paper over, they look for the CUSIP number. Because the CUSIP numbers have codes in them, and the codes tell them what level pool is going in. So that means that they're acting with insider trader information in specificity of you standing in front of them.
And not only that, keep in mind, they're trading securities without a license.
Whoa.
But
SEC.
that's not their designated job.
SEC.
So the insider trading,
Got it?
securities without a license, and in breach of their obligation of impartiality.
Breach of oath, breach of fiduciary duty, breach of trust. All right? You have anything that you want me to read? Because I can't get stuff over. I was trying to get stuff over.
Study the 2330, y'all. Study that.
You don't got that? 2330. that form. Now keep in mind, whenever they're in default, you know, when you ask for their delegation of authority order, their bid bonds, receipts, etc., for their bond number, their indemnity bond number. I didn't put that on here, so also put on their indemnity bond number. That goes with their oath. And they'll hide that. It's supposed to be held by the Secretary of State. They sometimes will register them in the Registrar of Deeds, if you understand, and it'll usually be under a resolution issued by the municipality with a list of the names and the bond values. It's not, brother.
And then my numbers and provider and contact.
Yeah. The bid, the indemnity bond number, the providers, that means the carrier of the bond, right?
Contact.
And the contact numbers. Because that's whenever they're in default, remember that you're going to look for the Trinity principle of 30 days, Trinity principle 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. So it becomes security, and you go after their bond. You don't keep arguing with them.
We can start bumping. We can start bumping.
Yes. And this is another reason why it's important for you to be organized or in what you call intelligent political order. And this is also fundamentally how Diwali actually originally set up the temples. But of course the law had not been carried out. And so a lot of things, a lot of sufferings that people have right now is because they didn't carry out the law. And so we have to try to get ourselves competent to the degree that we can carry out the law today, since those who were charged with carrying out the law not only didn't carry the law, but refused to teach law when Article 1 or Act 1 commands that they're empowered to make law. And so this is where the conflict appears to come in when some of them say Diwali didn't teach civics. And so you're left with the necessity of doing catch-up with stuff that should have been done 80 years ago. However, take that responsibility rather than, just look at the issues that they didn't carry out what they're supposed to do. So remember this. So when you do the delegation of authority orders, you do the quo warrantos, etc., and they fail to answer and they go in default, send them a default notice, right? Then 30 days or so, send them another default notice. Then 30 days or so, send them another default notice. 90 days it becomes a security, and then go after their bond. Do you understand? Because it's the very existence of your, this is why we want you to publish stuff, because the very existence of it is your evidence of the lien. And the fact that they didn't answer is acquiescence. And the fact that they can be proven to be in breach of trust, logically, your demonstration is an exercise of competence. So they can't claim to the contrary. Now they're liable. What occurs is that their indemnity insurance will go so high that somebody's head got rolled. And see, the reason why they resist, because this represents is over for them, if you understand what I'm saying to you. So don't confuse them talking trash or acting like heinies with the idea that because they're giving you resistance that you're failing. You're not failing, you just have a tendency to leave the battlefield.
Yeah.
Which you shouldn't do.
That's
Right,
important.
yeah.
That's important, y'all. How many of y'all know about maxims of the law? Maxims of law, maxims of law. Write that down. Everybody Google maxims of law. Maxims of commercial law. Maximum of commercial law. Because what you engage in is commercial ballet. D-E-L-L-I. Commercial ballet. And it means, it's in your fourth you just got. It means commercial war. What they have done is, and it's not just us, that's important for you to understand too. So you got Europeans amongst you, you can help educate them. It's not just us. 14th Amendment made all of them slaves. They don't know it that way. 14th Amendment made everybody a person. Look at the Black's Law Dictionary what a person means. Corporate fiction. Took you out of real life turns you into a thing. 1933, they came along with this Birth Certificate Act. And that birth certificate looks just like you, sounds just like you think it's you. It's not you. It is the fiction designed to operate in commerce, commercial.
Strong.
They apply you to it because you haven't been educated to understand how to separate yourself. If you're here and you're not a national, you are dead in the eyes of the law. And if you're dead in the eyes of the law, you're a slave. Slaves can't own anything. Anything a slave has, anything a slave generates, anything a slave manufactures or invents belongs to the master. The master is the corporation that brought about these birth certificates, these strawmen.
Yes.
It's called a Cestui Trust. Came around in the 1600s. Guy came up with this idea. So, you have to nationalize because you're not black, you're not Negro, you're not colored, you're neither the continent of Africa or the continent of America. You're the descendants of the Moabites, the Moors, who are as different and varied as we are here in this room. Not all looking the same, acting the same, thinking the same, talking the same. The reason that you need to understand this and put yourself in the proper context is because, number one, if you don't fix your nationality, you're not alive. And if you're not alive and you stand in front of those judges, it doesn't make any deal what you do or say. Because you're not there. You're dead in the eyes of the law. Simple little more twos. And the reason he keeps saying competency is because if you call yourself black, Negro, colored, you can't be competent. Because there's no such thing as black people. And black, who knows what black really means?
Burn.
Black means bleached. Baked in the sun. The light. Y'all go online, look for this dictionary, pass it around. It's 1828 Noah Webster. You want dictionaries that are pre-Reconstruction. Pre-Reconstruction. Think about why they didn't want us to read. What was the big deal they didn't want us to read? Because they didn't want us to realize what they had done to us. Denationalization is an international human rights violation. It is an act of genocide.
Yes.
So if you're black, Negro, or colored, you are still in post-traumatic shock from the initial acts 500 years ago of denationalization and genocide. All right? It's Noah Webster 1828. So you got to put in the, if you put Noah Webster 1828 in your Google search, it'll pop up. eBay, Amazon. So just put Noah Webster 1828. But I want to read to y'all this definition of black. Stay alive, I'm black and I'm proud. That's all it is. All right, listen to this black. Adjective. Saxon, bleak. Black. Black, pale, wan, livid. Blackened, blackened, to become pale, to turn white. To become black, to blacken, black ink. Black, pale, wan, livid. Just keep repeating itself. Then it says, it is remarkable that black, bleak, and bleached are all radically one word. The primary sense seems to be pale, wan, or shallow, from which has proceeded the present variety of signification of the color of night, that's the true light, and the ones that we know.
What's the date on that dictionary again?
1828. 1828, the first dictionary out of the Americas. You all know the definition of American, right? You all know the definition of American, right? Yes, indeed it is. But do you know why it's up? Peace.
Oh, man.
All right, y'all, check it out. The definition of American. A native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
Which is a fraud.
So there you go. They already stole your birthright.
It's very evident. It's also why
They already
alter
stole your
books.
birthright. And y'all can pass this around, look at it. These books, if you good, it's what you call it, sniping, what do you do? What do you call it, sniping? If you're good at it, you can get it. But if you're not, it's going to cost you $50, $65. You know it. You got it. Take a look. Pass it around.
Yeah, we can't get this.
Now I want to read something else to y'all. I want to read this to y'all. This is coming from William Penn. This is called William Penn's own account of the Lanai Lenape or Delaware Indians. This book is dated from 1970, but it is.
Now, this is from the early Chicago Defender. Like when we went to Chicago, looking up, going into the microfilm, looking up the old newspapers from Noble Raleigh in the 20s and stuff. Like this is one of the brothers from Congress, the priest who ran for Congress. And you see in some pictures with Noble Raleigh, as Noble Raleigh represented the Moorish Divine National Movement before Congress and before other political states. And this is the priest's statement to the Asiatics at large. And this was posted in the paper in the Chicago Defender at that time in the 20s. Congressman Oscar DePriest has ordered and will distribute among the people a publication known as Senate Document Number 112, which presents the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States with the amendments thereto in a letter to the editor of the Chicago Defender, and the Congressman writes, I am very anxious that those of my racial group shall be better acquainted with the Constitution and thereby more clearly understand their rights. There are several states of the Union that base their suffrage upon ability to read and interpret the Constitution. Pay attention to that, it's very important. Wishing to carry on a campaign of education on the Constitution, I am writing to ask your cooperation in getting this matter before the churches, schools, and societies of every description with which you are associated. And if you can consistently do so, will you have the people read and discuss the Constitution and the amendments thereto, section by section, until they become thoroughly acquainted with it. As loyal American citizens, we owe allegiance to the laws of our country and should know the contents of this document in order that we may protect our rights accordingly. And when one understands the Constitution, he or she will be in a position to ask his or her congressional candidate for support of every section and every amendment to the Constitution. These candidates who are not willing to do so should not be elected to office. And those who are willing to do so should be earnestly supported and elected. Arthur DePriest.
So that means should we impeach all those candidates that's in office?
Say it again?
should we impeach all those candidates that's in office right now?
Because they're committing a fraud.
Yes, sir.
You know, but this is a demonstration of, say, past tense in the 20s, a congressman opposed to what you're reading now. And so where he commands enforcement of the Constitution, right in harmony with no neutrality, today they do the opposite. And that's why they always talk about democracy, because they're operating for the popes of Rome. And of course, this is where your problem is. That's why he said enforce the Constitution. He said, because if you don't carry out those things, the above statements, he said the worst is yet to come. And of course, we're experiencing that worst right now. And so that causes us to have to do a lot of things that normally should just simply be our say in society. But we're struggling to defend our families and our compensations from actually organized criminals and thieves that have infiltrated the government. This is where the world's problem is. You know, it ain't racism, it's organized crime in government. You know, and their code word is democracy. And the people who don't know that don't recognize it. If you understand that, democracy is the code word of the overthrow of the republic. This is why he said, study the Constitution to preserve your rights. Say anything neutrality, been telling the people for decades. So I wanted to show that to you. We have a big printer. Anyway, I can use some small stuff like this. Make sure everybody can get this stuff. If you can. Sorry, this is my sheet. Don't get the books. This is not.
All I wanted to do was just pass out these unity flyers. Okay, it's going to be a unity summit this July in Harlem, New York. So I just wanted to pass out, in Manhattan, North America. So I just wanted to pass out some flyers to everybody. Is that cool?
Spray of gas. I recently saw this supposed to be in like 5 girls and 21 simplified. Supposed to be spraying of non-toxic gas.
Yeah, make sure you say that.
Yes, we know that. Y'all listen up.
Islam. Recently I saw that there's supposed to be some sort of spraying of non-toxic gas in 5 boroughs in New York and 21 subway lines.
Yes. Simultaneously.
During the entire month of July.
Simultaneously.
From 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Simultaneously. They're going to do it simultaneously. People that told me the information who are from that area say that they've never done it all at the same time. They do here. They're doing all of them. And they said after they do it, you don't see no bugs in the subway for months.
Yeah, that's sick.
We from New York, me and my sister, and she is absolutely correct with that information.
It's non-toxic though, right? You go up the steps and you see folks with suitcases and stuff. Where they going?
I have to bear witness to what the sister was saying because I was trying to get to Wilmington, Delaware before the 4th of this month, but during that time I was stuck in the subway, I think on 34th Street for an hour or two, and they didn't tell the people when we got out, they were saying about the gas. So I'm from New York, I'm from Brooklyn, so I've been witness to that. And the stuff that is going around, they practice it. You know, they just do it in practice. You know what I'm saying? But the conductor and the motorist, they got gas protection, but not by public. So,
they're planning for mass extermination.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because now it's getting crazy. Like, did anybody hear about those new 3D printers that you could print a gun from?
Yeah.
You heard about it?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like now you could just basically manifest anything in your living room if you wanted to. So, I mean, it's very vital and important to stay on alert for those types of, what you call it, psychological/biological operations. And while we're on that, all biological warfare isn't necessarily with those chemicals. Like, when they start interjecting different thought waves to change your natural thinking, that's still biological warfare, because your mind is the receiver and transmitter for everything that goes on.
Yes.
So if they start changing your thoughts, they also changing your biological makeup and integrity. That's an infringement on that. So, and whenever they do something here, they're doing something else over there. So I'm going to pass out some more flyers before Brother Taj goes back in.
One of the things that I was planning on doing, but we're having difficulty, is picking up my screensaver, but not the background. So I'm going to read some excerpts from the old newspaper, from the Al Moroccan Star from 202. It's from Monad Master, etc. I want to also make mention that years ago when I did the article on Moors and Masonry, Grand Master from Silver Springs made a comment and wrote a letter, and I posted his letter and my response to his letter in the Al Moroccan Star. I want to read that to you conceptually, because what they commonly do is try to misrepresent or intimidate. And the section that we had on there, that's on more letters. And so when we had editorials coming from people from different parts of the world or different parts of the country, some of the main letters we would post in the newspaper, etc. And this is from Richard E. Fletcher, past Grand Master, Executive Secretary, pardon this Masonic Order. He says, thank you for sending a copy of the Al Moroccan Star for autumn 2001. In this article, you featured a story titled Moors and Masonry by Taj Tarik Bey. And since there was no letter that accompanied the issue, we assume you sent it to us for informational purposes. Now, the comment we would like to make is, if it is meant to be a story, it is just that. If it's meant to be history, it is not. And while anyone can interpret Freemasonry in any way they choose, the entire article is written in a way that makes the Masonic fraternity sound far older than it really is, and also give a background which simply did not happen. Now let me point out the statements in the article that have nothing to do with fraternity, but do distort history. The statement is made that American is a dialectical corruption of the name Al-Moroccan, which means descendant or descendants of Moroccans. And how can this be concluded is beyond any possible interpretation of history, and the word America was taken from the Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci. All right. In the section of George Washington, the question is posted, did he chop down the cherry tree? And then, what was the cherry tree? It goes on with the rather convoluted explanation. The particular story came from a book by a man named Oscar Weems, who later acknowledged he had made it up, together with many other stories he wrote as having been accomplished by, etc. And if it is the purpose of the paper to tell a story to its readers, you are doing that, but if the intent to provide historical accuracy, you have not accomplished that goal. Thank you for your courtesy in sending a copy to our office. Most sincerely, Richard E. Fletcher, past Grand Master, Executive Secretary. And response on page 6. And so I published that. It was good to publish critical stuff. Now this is my response to him after I published his stuff. Masonic Information Center, care of Richard E. Fletcher, past Grand Master, 8120 Fenton Street, Silver Spring, Maryland, 209110. The esteemed Richard E. Fletcher, Past Grand Master, your analogy and response letter to the edited treatise titled Moors and Masonry, as presented and published in the Al Moroccan for the autumn issue of the Al Moroccan Star, has been received and read. Your consideration for taking the time to write is more appreciated and respected. Most appreciated and respected. We also send greetings of peace to yourself and to all those among the brethren seeking light. Your comments on the subjects and issues on and of Freemasonry on the Italian explorer Americus Vespucci, on a writer named Pastor Weems, and on George Washington were, however, neither surprising nor unexpected. We are well aware of the status quo, social engineering controlled, highly biased and modified institutional and educational texts, which are more often than not colorable in nature. And such practices have been institutionally common fare throughout the Western Hemisphere. And being Aboriginal and indigenous to Amexem, the land called America, we Moors also know there are parts of law and history which are deliberately held back from the masses of the common peoples. And most institutional and lodge Masons are aware of the fact that the common omissive teachings, practices, and occasional governmental bodies and occupational governmental bodies and their shrewd or their skewing of law and history. And being students of Masonic learning and disciplines, we are sure that you know exactly that that is the case. In response and similarity to your appreciated comments, we respond thusly. On the issue of Freemasonry, the edited article printed in the Almanac Star Moors and Masonry, Will the Real Moors Please Stand Up, is and was not presented to imply that the modern Masonic fraternities, their lodges, or those who have been, who are members, associates of, or with the lodges are ancient. They are not, and such was not written in the article, misrepresentation. The article asserts that the grand body of ancient principles, Gnostic philosophies, much of the regalia, the symbolism, and many of the rituals are ancient and of Masonic Moorish culture and origin. And such can be validated by archaeologists, anthropologists, and unbiased historians from around the world. The same may be said of or confirmed by many of the learned Moabite Moorish elders, sheiks, shakuns, and shaman of the land. In fact, the adopted work lodges are in reference to the longhouses of our Iroquois Confederation, political and social order, which had much to do with teaching the Albion sons, Europeans, Masonic governmental principles. And much of the Masonic teaching and grooming to and of governmental principles took place in the Upper Land territory of New Amsterdam. And in these days, New Amsterdam is called New York territory of the empire. On the issue of America as attributed to one you call Americus Vespucci, the name of the Italian explorer referred to as Americus Vespucci is actually Americus Vespucius, an astronomer and navigator born in Florence, Italy, the 9th day of March 1451 AD. He passed his form on the 22nd day of February 1512. Americus Vespucci was also a student of well-established Moorish philosophy, science, geography, and commerce. Moorish has established many universities in Italy and Europe. And on the 10th day of May, 1497 AD, Americus Vespucius set sail on an expedition to Amexem, Almoricanos, from the Moorish named city Cadiz, located on the land called Spain. Cadiz is often called Cadiz. Many Europeans taught by the Moors were well aware of the distant empire of the Temple of the Sun and Moon, Almanac. And all Almanac is mainland of the Moorish Empire and is the expanded home of the Moors who sailed these oceans and seas, navigators of the long ships. Reconstructors of history have feigned that the Moors only dwelled on the land Archipelago, the continent south of Asia and Europe, which is now called Africa, named after Cyprico Africanus, the Roman general who fought against Hannibal the Moor. Vespucius' first so-called expedition, was actually arranged as a tour to navigate the Atlantis waters as the Moors did and had for centuries before. Vespucius was touring to verify and confirm the accuracy of the astro-based imaginary grid used to navigate the waters and the earthland. And this ancient geometrical formed longitudinal and latitudinal grid was based on the position of the stars in relationship to one's position on the earth. And geometry means earth measure, and the most commonly used navigational tool was called a sextant. A German geographer named Walsenmiller published a book in the year of 1507 which gave historical tribute to associating Americas and Almoracans. Walsenmiller made numerous allusions to Americas having made a journey which to many sons of Europe was extremely rare. Most Europeans thought the earth was flat and knew little of navigating the greater oceans and seas except the learned few who were taught map-making, mathematics, geometry, etc., and generally educated or tutored by the Moors. And the institutionalization of the 7 liberal arts were unerringly associated with the Moors, and involving the adoption or adopting of the names by peoples of different nations, etc. The practice of the same is not unusual, although the motivating factors may have been different. However, such practices do not change the fact that it is colorable and fraud. And not unlike the defeated and disgraced Moors in North America, who now bear the family names of European slaveholders, including the slave brands and the tags of black, Negro, colored, etc. It was socially common for Europeans to adopt Moorish names and cognomens during the period of time, and very much later. And large numbers of Europeans, without doubt, have Moorish nobles openly displayed within their family coats of arms. America's Vespucius recognized association and influences with the Moorish culture was no different. America is a dialectical corruption of and is a definite association, definitely associated with Al-Maracan, Al-Moraka, Al-Marrakesh, Al-Morbids, etc. The adoption of the dialectically corrupted name was in the year 1501. And we stand on this unmoved. Or a writer named Pastor Weems and George Washington. Pastor Weems, like many of his contemporaries, was also influenced by the social and political times. And it was well known fact that George Washington was being coached and trying to accept the guaranteed seat to the office of supreme authority called the presidency for the United States Republic, North America. The reference to a guaranteed seat is alluding to Benjamin Franklin, Minister Plenipotentiary, assured this position. Franklin, along with James Adams and Thomas Jefferson, were delegated ministers plenipotentiary in the years 1784 to 1787 to represent the United States in matters concerning the structuring of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787 between His Imperial Majesty Sultan Muhammad ibn Abdullah of Morocco and the United States. And all 3 ministers plenipotentiary, Adams, Jefferson, and Franklin, were positioned to become presidents for the United States Republic with major political influence and cultivation infused by the powerful Moors of the pre-existing dissolving government. And during this period of time, however, Benjamin Franklin was ill and respectfully submitted that he could not, with high standard, hold the presidential seat. George Washington, an Army general, was encouraged and tutored by Benjamin Franklin and Emmanuel Ali Bey, Benjamin Banneker, to present himself for standing in Benjamin Franklin's guaranteed and fixed political position. And these 3 ministers plenipotentiary and the substituting George Washington were all master masons. And in the public meetings, the 3 ministers plenipotentiary, as well as George Washington, would display the Continental flag along with the Stars and Stripes, Star-Spangled Banner. The Continental flag is a red field with a green cedar tree displays in a white canton. The Continental flag is also called the treaty flag. And as a note reminder to all who may have been misled, miseducated, or tricked by reconstructed history and historians, let it be clear that our land is Amexum Al-Rak, America, and the peoples are Moors. And some of the brand appellations or names we have been called are Negroes, Blacks, Indians, West Indians, Latinos, etc. Let it be known with qualification also that India and Indians are in and on the continent, which is also called Asia. India and Indian are modern names attributed to Hindustan and Hindustani. The Moors also dwell in Hindustan. However, they are, and we are, not Indians, and there is no such truth to the European coined terms American Indians and African Americans, etc. We Moors are ancient dwellers to and of the land, America, and also to Asia and Africa. In the year 1781, the United States Republic received this charter. And in the month of April of the year 1789, George Washington was elected to the presidential palace after the administration of President Cyrus Griffin, and thus became the 9th president for the Republic, United States of North America. The Constitution for the United States Republic was also officially adopted that same year, 1789. Thus, the transfer of political power from the Moors to the European side of the nation was allegorically referred to as overcoming the rigid resistance of the many Moorish regents who, in contradistinction to the support of Sultan Muhammad, did not want permanency of European political power established in the empire. And the said overcoming or political victory as satire was veiled in the phrase, George Washington chopped down his uncle's cherry tree. Excuse me. The cherry tree is not in reference to a fruit tree, but is an allegorical reference to the red and green national standard of the Moorish flag. Pastor Weems was not the only person using the foregoing politically motivated and satirical statement alluding to the cherry tree. Excuse me. North America is not the kingdom of Morocco. North America is the heart of the Moroccan Empire. And the pyramid is the ancient national seal of the Moorish sovereigns. Now, the United States Republic has a dual national seal. That is why the pyramid side of the seal is held in such high regard by those who know the secrets and truth about the land called America and the fallen Moors. Logically, due to the slavery eluding practice of stealing the birthrights of defeated Moors, the European-controlled school systems, including other respected institutions, were not and are not going to openly reveal the truth of law and history, which brought about the political union we know today as the United States Republic of North America. Social engineers are also not going to publicly reveal the reasons why the Great Seal Pyramid side of the National Seal is not used as a symbol in the Departments of Government offices by the Sons of Europe who hold seats of government in the United States Republic. Moors, Al-Moroccans, and Masons, however, are very clear on the ancient and modern meaning, authority, and placement of that same Great Seal Pyramid of the ancient Moabites Moors. The chopping down of the cherry tree is implying the chopping down of the Moorish flag in the dark north corner of North America, specifically the Northeast Territories. Does the city of Philadelphia or Philadelphus stir up memories? How about 6 and Chestnut Streets in the year 1774? If a purpose of many deceivers of law and history is to keep so-called black and Negro Masons and other buried asleep and deep, while feigning to raise them absent of the truth of their Moabite Moorish birthright connection, then they are carrying out their Roman Empire and European colonial conquest assignments. They have for a long time been very successful. And any natural people who lacking knowledge of themselves, law, and history are easier to control under slavery systems and forced bureaucratic servitude. And some say that the hoodwinking of and the ruffian attacks made against the defeated Moors allow for descent of defenseless and naive source for secured Roman tithe tax and monetary chattel base. The Europeans instituted color games and constituted in the minds of the people to veil this area of birthright theft. This is why the colonial powers have maintained what has been known as segregation controls and secrets over and about the defeated Moors, while branding and tagging them blacks, Negroes, colored, etc., keeping them mentally in the dark. However, we are living in a new era of time, and conscious Moors, enlightened to the truth of and about their nationality and our birthrights and of our land, the Mexican Americas, are our brothers' keepers. and we must by moral charge, ethical duty, allegiance, and destiny expose to them and tell to them the truth of and their civilization, law, and history. We are part of ourselves. This in spite of their ongoing deceptions, misrepresentations, diversions, suppression, secrecy, and fraud. And we and others of the civilized world will accomplish that goal, pardon me. And where there may be doubt, calculate the times, the glitz, the positions of the planets, and the cause and effect revelations, and about the Great Seal Pyramid and isonomy, so mote it be. And thank you for your interest and courtesy in taking time to critique the art of peace. Taj Tarik Bey, son of a widow, free Moor, Moorish Roundtable, Great Seal National Association of Moorish Affairs, Assistant Editor, Almarat and Star, Northwest Mexico. That was my response to you. And, you know, they're trying to blast on it, like they figure everybody ain't gonna know history. Anyway, this was while I'm at it, because it was Mother's Day recently, I want to read this poem I wrote for my mother years ago. It's here. Almond-eyes. Lena Ruth, with glowing smile, smooth in comfort, mystic queen, bless me always with your love and caring spirit all the while. Time can make no space between nor distance foil or come above the admiration in this heart that you have molded in your womb and speak with love and life replies. Repeating you by corporal art, depicting too genetic groom, and still I see your almond eyes. Now Shakira, born to care, strength and beauty, fiery too. Amatullah, her insight stare, sweet and comforting like you. And bright Hadira, kind and fair, creative, finding things to do or do. Through them, new lives prepare with all their love. I still have you. And as I travel through this life with good to bad, I'll take in stride, strong I bear, with bold intention, cherish life's gift, a wife. Though seasons change, I'll not let pride, no foolish heart, and false intention or invention cause me unkind contemplations. Soothe me now, dear mother, smile, bless me always, Mr. Queen, humble son unto your nation. Family bonds and love tactile, royal daughters you reprise, for time and life and love convene to manifest what you devise. Heaven to the earth replies to answer precious almond eyes, loving you forever.
Yeah, yeah.
That was for my mother. And also in this, this was a woman called Rebecca. That was 2 parts. Now we also published in the Christian Journal a woman called Rebecca, and that was their largest issue ever. But the second part was not published because they got some responses from their donor guys that was uncomfortable with it, so they didn't publish the second part in their paper. It will be published in ours. But anyway, pardon me. So that was a response also to the Masonic Order from Silver Springs. The Grand Master was trying to critique the Moors and Masons. Must have did, but they think people are dumb. Ain't no nigger marching guys. So make sure that you'll write this down. We're going to take this off, all right? Was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
So, on the 10 maxims of commercial law. 10 of them. I don't know where they are. You all can Google it.
Yeah,
10 of them.
Yeah, we'll make them available.
You need to learn those 10 of them. Because you're being engaged in commercial ballet.
Every day.
I'm going to give you 2 of them. Truth is expressed in the form of affidavit. And he who leaves the battlefield first loses. And why you got to answer.
And this is why we recommend people do affidavits, not motions, because an affidavit must be rebutted. If it's not rebutted, it stands as law. And truth in commerce stands as law.
Affidavit stands as truth in commerce.
And motions is asking for permission.
Yes, and giving jurisdiction. Right? With some other, again, like I was saying, I wanted to go into Monad Master. So when you hear, like in the the chambers, like in the Adept chambers, or related to the brothers and sisters that are in the Adept chamber, the first, second, and third heavens, they're really talking about chambers of the mind. The conscious mind, subconscious mind, and supraconscious mind. And one part of the training that you get in what you call advanced philosophical studies is the discipline or the learning how to tap those chambers and to be conscious of them. Meaning that you don't do them loosely, that you be conscious of them. And logically, those who are in the priesthood learn those ancient disciplines. And this is also why, like the Europeans that belong to all the secret societies, study what you call ancient Egyptian mystery schools. But that's for the public, so the public get, say, Egypt, but those in the priesthood get hit hooked up. You understand? So Egypt, you know, that's given because that's what the people know. You know, what people are familiar with. Just like if they're giving you Yahshua's lessons, they'll say Jesus, because that's what the people are familiar with, while that is really a password, if you understand. So I want to remind you all of that, because that's one of the things I wanted to do, go into the Monad Master Book. But did I get the bubbles? So my mom put the bubbles up there as my screensaver, so I guess she wanted me to look at the bubbles. But so also keep in mind too, as we mentioned to you before, spirituality is the art of breathing. And real religious studies, real religious philosophy all over the world. Understand this is not unique in particular areas. Across the world with all the priesthood is yoga. Your advanced yoga lessons. Yoga, yeah. Yoga means yoke, or the binding, all right? And so when you hear different terms, you know, in any type of religious form where they talk about the binding, or Allah and man are one, God and man are one, that type of thing, or being one with Christ, all that means is yoke. The yoke, the binding, all right? Now also, as a snippet of information, in order for you to study yourselves, you must know the self. And also, so you'll be taught about the carnal self, the aggregate forms of the aggregate body, what you call the material body, and those are concentrated in your lower three chakras. Although you still have what you call, you know, your soul bodies, etc. When you go to the chart of 7. And so you'll learn those things too. And keep in mind, it's important for you to understand that, to understand the Kabbalistic nature of the Bible, and the Kabbalistic nature of the Quran, and the Awasti, and the Septuaginta, Pentateuch, any book that you get. And logically, if you're not aware of that, you would have a tendency to take every personality that's spoken of within the books as natural beings, when many of those personalities that you think are people are actually expressions of the activation of the chakras or the ascension. You understand? Yes. And this is why, on another level, you're referred to collectively as the body of Christ, because it's actually you yourself. All right, so on an advanced level, Jesus is you. And Jesus thus means justice, or means the capacity for you to understand, to purify yourself, and to have the capacity to activate those chambers. And as you do, and much of it has to do with sincerity and compassion, things like that, that naturally activate them. Those are what you call humane qualities. And when they're sincere, your chakras activate no different than you pouring water on a plant and a seed germinates and makes leaves. It's not some mystery system. It's really the workings of nature. You know, and so one of the other problems that we have is because the priesthood will not tell it like that, because they're always trying to make people pay for them or take care of them. You know, and so also when you begin to really study the disciplines, you will find out that the closest thing that you'll find that you think is a demon, that the masses think the devil is really the priesthood, the priests themselves. You know, and this is another reason why it's difficult to bring truth to the masses, because they're spooked. You know, and they're caught up in the mystery level, not knowing that the priesthood behind the pit is really the deceiver. And they have the truth themselves, but they won't reveal the truth. This is why when you see the patterns, different patterns or stories that you see, like in the Bible or in the Quran, etc., where the priesthood always attacks the prophets, runs them out and murders them, then blames the devil. It's because the truth blows the game of the priesthood, who's really the problem, and hasn't been charged. So I want to throw that at you so that you can have confidence when you go into the Bible or the Tanakh or the Pentateuch and read them most properly. Also, as we mentioned to you before, one of the reasons why they removed Beth, or it's called Bayat, which is the second glyph, house of bread or house of God, which is the second letter of the Kabbalistic Aleph Bet. The reason they removed that in the Elohim principle, in the dispensation of the spiritual-oriented information in the books, is so that the priest of Rome could rule, so that the bishopric could rule. So you got to keep that in mind while you see the bishopric is only males. That's by design. So again, when you're looking at any of the literatures from any of the orders, etc., always put that back into your mind so that you can go into those books properly. And when you go into those books properly, you know, then you can receive the real messages from the books and actually become free and thereby become priests unto yourselves, which is also part of the mission that Lord Raleigh came for. Islam, good brother.
Islam. Today I been bumping into a lot of our Christian brothers and sisters, and one person met me. I don't know whether I was. I must have been the great white Jesus himself, but she started crying and like she got the Holy Ghost. She started crying and everything like she got the Holy Ghost. I asked her one simple question. I said, "Where is the King of God?" She said, "In heaven." I said, "Where is heaven?" She said, "Up there." Who taught you that? So I was in a Rainbow situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she said, "My pastor." I said, "Look, give me the name and number to your church. Give me the address. I want to come visit." So I gave her a homework assignment. I said, "Go in the Bible and tell me what Jesus said in the Bible red letter. I want to hear what Paul said. Where is the King?" You know, and I've been bumping into a lot of our family members who, like you said, the priests have just basically ripped them off, and they literally believe that it's in the Bible, literally. You know, so that's one of the things. The first questions I ask a lot of our Christian brothers and sisters before anything, to see if they're on the level. If they answer within, okay, then we go to the next step. Okay, I can work with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the catechisms that I ask them to see if they kind of sort of get.
And this is for anybody from any alleged religion, whether they're Muslim, Christians, or Jews. You're supposed to know them all and then test them by their own claim. You know, this is again why, like, you already have the prophets on your nationality card: Ali, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. And so all of the major philosophies, or the proper instructional philosophies behind all of them, are brought together, just like in the Prophet Muhammad's days. So even with that, being on the nationality card, and as we talked before, as you recognize, you don't even have to go into anything deep. All you have to do is deal with what people have before them, and then let them see that they don't know what they have. By not giving them something new, challenge them to answer to what their claim is. But then you must be the scholar in their claim. And this is actually part of the instructions of Noble Raleigh. And of course that makes people uncomfortable, because people are used to being in clubs, you know, like you over there, me over here. When real scholars and real priests know all of them, it's a requirement. You know, it's not an option, it's a requirement for them to carry that PhD. And this is another reason why once you begin to, if you can get the people to study, this is why they'll find out that the priesthood is the problem. When they find out that they knew this stuff all the time and been playing people and living off of them and watching the destruction in the communities, pretending that the devil's doing it, and they, in collusion with the popes of Rome, i.e. Pontius Pilate and the priesthood, in partnership, pretending that Jesus is the problem. And that's really what the story is. So Jesus takes the hit. The devil gets blamed, the priests who look innocent, and then tell the people it's a separation of church and state, and they're really partners, and the problem.
Come on, break it down.
So when you look at your nationality card, and this is even back to our conversation that we was having earlier, for sharing everybody, because me and Grant, we talk very often, because he's sort of like an ambassador, and he travels, the area and in different parts of the country, and also, and he communicates with everybody and anybody. And one of the things that we were talking about, so that you'll understand where we're coming from, is I was making mention to him certain aspects about concerns with the Moorish movement that are in the nature of the schisms that a lot of people recognize or that they run into, so it doesn't confuse them, and for them to understand that many people that have nationality and nationality cards don't even know what they have, but yet they'll often come out and be judgmental, just like people do in different religious orders, of other people who don't think like them when it's an improper perspective. And all you have to do is test them on what their own claim is, and you see that most of them are incompetent. So you ask them, give me, Confucius philosophy. Give me the philosophy behind Confucianism, because all fundamentals are basic truths. Is the Buddha a one person, or is the Buddha a title for many? Different things like that. And so all these things are right on the nationality card, and you'll find that 99% of brothers and sisters in the temples that have been going there for 20 and 30 years couldn't even begin to answer that, but yet they want to tell people about the prophet and movement. And it's really horrible, because the truth of the matter is they were given the highest lessons for the purpose of dispensing them to their brothers and sisters to bring them out of darkness into light. Instead, they played reverse church and went into darkness themselves. And it's true, and it's unfortunate, but because what occurs is when people, get some of the information, they recognize there's something unique about it. Yeah. But their concepts are usually formed or misformed by those who are mispresenting the information. This is also where the detrimental perspectives come from, with the sellout grand sheiks who have not taught the adolescents to the common people. And so they stay on the degree that the information was presented to them, and they think that that's what it is, and that's not really all it is. It's just presenting to people information where they are in concept, and then raising them to the degree of what the information is actually a part of. That was held back from them by the Muslims of India, Africa, and Europe, etc. And which he says in front of the Quran. These lessons have been held back. And so unless somebody really knows that, that those are yoga lessons. Yeah. You got to know that that's what, you don't need to guess, that's what they are. And so logically, if somebody has that knowledge and doesn't share it with their brothers and sisters and watch them bouncing around in a circle for years and years, believing stuff that they don't have a foundation on, they're logically going to fill the void. Right. Where they don't know, they start filling in with what they feel. Not knowing in the real world doesn't work. But as long as they say Jesus, God, Allah, Muhammad and stuff, they get all confident, go out in the world, get beat up. And then wonder why, we're catching it. Because we're out of order. Meanwhile, they got all these leader guys and all the different flavors of ice cream, always got the solution, but they always broke. You know what I mean? God got him counted, Chase Manhattan, or he can't work for you and stuff. And this stuff goes on and on. So we have to clean that mess up and make sure that people understand the chambers of the mind, the 7 body forms, what the tree of life is, which is tetragrammata, which is the proper name of God, and it's a process, not a being. All those things, and logically it's uncomfortable for people because their concept of what they've been told by the priesthood is not really what the priesthood themselves have, that got their degrees. Islam says. I think, Start singing now.
Go ahead, Pat. All right, Pat.
I came out of the church, right? Everybody knows that. Well, if you're new, you don't know, but I've been talking to my pastor and his wife, and they're kind of like, he's starting to like, how do I turn the people around there? He sees that I thought he was one of those pastors that
Interjection. Talk to Dr. Nyla. Bring him here.
Okay.
Bring him here to the House of Ram.
Okay.
Because she's a perfect example. You know, because we talk about it all the time. I was telling people about her poetry the other day. I had a really good time. I had a good time talking about her book.
Okay.
But, you know, for someone to have the character, because it takes character. It really, because very few people will give up the opportunity to seize people's pennies, the widow's pennies, under deception, and not turn around. You know how like you say when Jesus say, "Follow me," you know, meaning throw down the worldly things. What it means, it doesn't mean that in the physical that you don't need to live. It means do not let material things own you. Right. You use them and they maintain their position, and you do not deal with the truth for the sake of benefit or finance, etc. For the truth stands on its own. It is a birthright. Now the deal is, Sister Nyla, in the face of people who loved her, admired her, you know, many of you know that she's been on TV, she's been around with many big name people, but yet she, for the sake of truth, humbled herself.
Yeah.
You know, and dispensed, you know, how I say, lost many people who admired her for the sake of truth. And most people
That's where he's at right there.
who don't have character will not do that. And she did that, and I applaud her most sincerely. Because that is a rarity. And certainly, for the spirit of our ancient mothers and fathers, and for the spirit of the Creator, she will be rewarded because she is a most sincere person. I'm appreciating that. Because most people know, you get them in the corner and paint them, they'll admit it, and then start making, well, the people ain't everything but the truth. You know, but again, let me give her a hand, Dr. Nyla. Give her a hand, y'all. And also, you know, as you already know, her book just came out, you know, for her poetry, The Musings. Yeah, that's a really good book. Support her. You know, because a lot of her thoughts, really a lot of her philosophy, even in that was in the strength of many of her sermons, is really in there with the purity of heart.
Yes.
You know, and it's really, do yourself two favors. Make sure you don't let her walk out here with a bag. Let's empty that bag of books. And then also take them, buy one for your family and friends that support her for the area, for her determination to hold fast to truth. You know what I mean? So we got to support each other, and I'm really just proud of her. That's my feeling, because it's really true. You know, and I'm just, well, it is what it is. Dr. Nyla, that's who she is. And she's just such a pure, good spirit. She is, and it reflects in her poetry. Do yourself a favor, get the book.
I do just want to say that the process is not easy, and I really could advise someone who's thinking of coming out of that darkness and bringing their people out, because I did some things, looking back, I did some things wrong, but then they really weren't wrong, and you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I could tell a pastor what not to do if you want this result, or what to do if you want that result.
Right.
And I didn't know what I was looking for. I was just being led, if you will, by the ancestors. We said led by the spirit, but the spiritual ancestors woke me up in the middle of the service and said, "Stop lying and tell the truth." And so, if you look at, send your pastor to Jeremiah chapter 5, and if
write that down.
If he or she will read, if they don't want to read the whole chapter of scripture, if they start at verse 26 and read down to the end, they will see the indictment against the priesthood right there in the book. And it basically says that the priesthood, these unscrupulous men have crept in. They have no concern for the fatherless and the widows and so forth, that they have men in cages like birds growing fat off of them, but that the people like it that way. And I found that to be true, because these were people in cages that I opened up the cage and said, you're free, and we like, leave us in here, we don't want to get out.
Right.
They literally did not want to get out of the cage that I had put some of them in. There were some that came here, really green, and they got quote unquote saved under my ministry, and I couldn't undo what I'd done. They would rather crucify me, than think that the person that they believed in for 10 and 12, 11, 12 years, all of a sudden I became the demon, the enemy. I did run well, what hindered me? They were throwing scriptures and everything, so I woke up.
Right.
So, and seriously, but had I not done that, then you would not be here today. You know, none of this would be going on, and this is to me a far greater thing that's been done than the weekly, $1,300 a month they gave me, and we had a lot of money coming here, about $79,000 a month. I didn't even know it in this little place, and we didn't work for anything. And by the time they were gone, and they went out here except we had up Sister Angie. Her husband left. He was one of my elders. She wouldn't leave. Right? And about 4 or 5 others that stayed. But what I'm saying is, by the time they left, when we used to have, say, about 15,000 notes at the beginning of each year, so you don't have your books clear. Apparently we had about 15,000, 15,000 notes. On January 1, we had 888 notes. And so what they waited for us to do was, she's going to fall. This is almost 2.5 years later. We've never missed a mortgage payment, whatever, the lights haven't been turned off. I don't get there, I don't need a stipend, but I got another position, a greater position, even though they don't pay me as much as they should. But what I'm saying is, when you're doing the right thing, the universe, the ancestors, everyone converges together, and then people started to come, and they would say that the energy is drawing us here. And that's what has happened in the house of prayer. We just stood our ground, and the people, it's like, if you build it, they will come. So your pastor has got to step out on that faith they claim that they have or he has, and believe that if he is being led to speak truth, that the truth is going to uphold him.
Stand on the truth that they claim.
Right. Because it could never be for the money, if you will, the fiat. It could never be for that. It is for the truth, and the truth will withhold you. And I'm a living testimony to that.
Yes, which is also why it's called the narrow path.
Right. We teach that the narrow path is everybody outside of Christianity. But I've come to find out that this one is the narrow path.
Yeah.
But everything they do is a lie. So if you just flip it, then you really know that you're the ones walking on there. We're walking on narrow paths. The true seekers, the ones that are trailblazers. And so, I don't tell everyone what I do now because I'm in a very highly political position. But if you come to me and you engage me, I'm not going to lie anymore. So I don't push this on anybody. In the beginning, it was a tendency to want, but everybody's not going to walk the path won't hold everybody.
That's right.
Okay, I'm convinced the path won't hold everybody.
Yeah. And plus, one of the things that they talk about in secret societies that I've discovered over the years and talking to different people, that the reason why, because the masses don't know they're prepared for food and destruction. And so when the reductions are made to balance the economies of the earth, they will start wars or pestilence, etc. And everyone that's not in honor will be the first targets. So whereas they think that the ignorance is bliss, is actually a death sentence.
And Islam, Brother Taj, they always have to keep a state of conflict and fear going on.
Yes.
There's always got to be. And so now that we have the internet, we have television, but now with the internet and all the other modes of communication, it's all about fear. And even some of the things that we thought were, these quote-unquote good things, like although the consciousness level is going to raise and what's going to happen to shift in 2012. Even those things, I'm suspect.
Yeah.
Because all of these things are to get the people distracted.
Yeah, encouragement without substance.
Right, it's a lot of distraction. And if you look at the TV and the movies, you'll find that, like I wrote in the poem, life's fairy tale, every fairy tale and everything that every generation has to be indoctrinated in the same deception.
Yes.
And so it's coming back. Everything's coming back. Everybody,
just accordingly. And so they'll put out different things of, like one of the things how they communicate with each other, like what you call in the open band, is like through like things like The Matrix, Wizard of Oz, The Black Knight, Robin Hood, True Romance, and they'll tell a lot of truths in this groups, and they'll test where the people are, and then make adjustments, social engineering adjustments accordingly, how the people respond to it.
About that movie that we had come on, I'm not sure if it's called Django. Can't hear you.
Django, same thing. Because because even with Django, what they did, they didn't do it like totally blatantly, but by inference to let you know that all the Ajax weren't slaves, without showing you the Congress. And then in their long tails, etc., stuff like that, and also that a lot of the so-called slave masters were fronts for a lot of Moors. You really gotta kind of look at that yourself.
Islam. My brother Amun Shabazz Rael and I watched the movie Oz. And towards the end, they showed the people with fezzes. However, the fezzes had decoration. It was colorable.
Yeah.
It had some decoration around the fez.
Yeah.
But there was this. For those that have eyes can see, in the movie Oz, towards the end.
Yeah, they showed the feathers. Yeah.
They showed the feathers, and there was a whole lot of symbiology in that movie, and for the, you just have to look into, and that definitely that is a powerful movie to take a look at.
Yes, once you understand real history, you know yourself, sister, and then yourself.
Was it the one with the monkeys?
The monkeys is the Negro. See the monkeys. Yeah, but the monkeys are Negro de Arebo.
Yes.
And this is the species that was used for the experiments for the hybriding when the Earth split. That's in Patagonia. And this is why when you saw when Hitler nationalized Germany, and you see some Europeans saying we're going back home to Argentina. Mm-hmm. Argentina is Patagonia. That's where the actual technology, the application of the technology took place near the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. But the actual breeding, for the most part, took place in Patagonia. And Patagonia is now called Argentina. This is why when them Europeans were put on them ships, they came to the Falkland Islands, which you see right now are under dispute with Argentina and Britain right now. And they went to Britain, they went to Cuba, England, and they would not let them off those ships. Then they start committing suicide and talking that they're going to tell these people here who the real Jew is. Then they started that war in Palestine and made up that artificial nation called Israel in 1948. Yeah. All of that it still involves us, but our people don't know because they don't know their history, they don't know themselves. And so when they see these things that are hinted in different pictures, and a lot of animated pictures, they just look at them as animated movies and cartoons and stuff, and it's talking about you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
In the Django movie, when the European man let Jamie Foxx choose his own clothes, right? And he chose that blue, that was the representation of the Moors.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I want to.
Right, right?
Not add on what you just said. And if you look at it,
it was basically like the straw man, free man concept. You know what I mean? He said, look, don't break character. Free man, this is what it is. And I just wanted to note that correlation. And also, it was interesting that they started off in Texas. And the word Texas breaks down in our tongue to Tachis. And it simply just means friends. So if you look at it, they started off, they made a contract, a treaty or agreement between the Moor and the German. It was telling you, if you're looking a little deeper than what was there. I may be analyzing too much, but I think everything was for a reason in that movie. It didn't just start off in Texas or Tachis for nothing, and it was friends. And I don't know if we was...
You know what they call the Lone Star State?
Yeah, exactly, the Lone Star State. And yeah, that was real. Oh, another thing is that Broomhilda was an actual real. She really is marked in history as a part of the Merovingian dynasty of France. Yeah. So my fault. So it was just like supremely interesting that they was throwing the signals, and now people be like, I don't like the movie. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? They were telling you straight up. But yeah.
And then get whenever you look at the real world history of the Moors, and they say what? The Franks, Franciscan Brotherhood overthrew the Moors of the Maghreb. There you go. The Franks, you know, in international commerce. Yes, German. And so all the European hybrids are German. Yes. And so then you understand Frank, the hybrid Frankenstein, Dr. Moreau's Island. Moreau's French for Moore. Yeah.
So that was the war that was created.
Doing that, Dr. Moreau represented Yaku.
The island of female.
And the island, Turtle Island.
Come on, Queen. That 120. That 120.
Yeah. And then Frankenstein and Moreau's mixing of animal and human and creating hybrids, and then they rebel. That American Revolution. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important to really know your real history. That's why I know Raleigh also said to the Moors, when you all get in power, treat the European nice. Of course, we know this connotative nice. It's of course you need to know the real history that they're not just guilty, it's not one side, it's two-side guilt. It's nonsense. Give Sister Mike.
I don't need Mike I just want to reiterate, using our etymology, the word nice means the exact opposite of what we use it for.
Yeah, that's why I said connotative. That's why I qualified.
For anybody who didn't know that.
So connotative nice. So denotative nice means stupid. You know, so connotative, we take it as being pleasant. You know, but in reality, what he's really saying is don't swing the karmic pendulum back. Because one of the lessons that we have to learn, being the children of our mothers and fathers and the firstborn, we've lost our birthright by virtue of following after the idol gods of Europe that we knew nothing of. And as we come into light, very often feel like victim and like we were just put upon. And we're responsible for a lot of this crap ourselves. Because we violated our own laws by enslaving the Negroes. So they just traded places and call us Negroes. And that's really what it is. And this is why when you etymologically do the research, you'll find that black people, it really means pale, the pale people. Because it really comes from Negro Yaderale or Paleolithic man, which is the caveman. And Paleolith, trace it into German, the paleo is the black, the blank, which is really what the brother was reading from the dictionary. That's why they don't want you to have the old dictionaries, because they flip things and we sit around talking about black man, talking about us. We just now talking about the Paleolith. We ain't even cavemen. So that also indicates that we're incompetent. Yes. And that's why they don't worry about us, because they know we can't read. You know, I mean, we get all self-righteous too. I know, I'm like.
Come on, Taj, right? How
Hey, let me ask y'all a question, all right? How many people here got pension funds? 401ks, got jobs they go to every day? Can I ask y'all a question? Normally when the debt of the United States is high, the dollar value is low. Gold and silver go up. Anybody understand what I'm saying? So how come gold and silver are going down at the same time the dollar has never had more debt against it? And the stock market is going to the highest heights ever in history. Because it's a diversionary tactic to make everybody think everything's okay. Because what's getting ready to happen is the dollar is about to get snatched out of existence. The Federal Reserve note is about to get snatched out of existence. Your pensions, your savings, the money you got tucked underneath the mattress, it's all getting ready to be worth naught. It's already worth naught, but you won't even be able to use it at the bank or the store.
Recognize that?
It's going to be like the Confederate note after the Civil War. Use it for toilet paper. So what I suggest you do, and listen, I'm telling you this so I'm going to have a clear conscience. So that when you come crying to me, don't be mad when I see me smile and laugh. This is the deal. If you got it, get it and use it. Turn it into something tangible. Whatever you think you've been waiting to do with it, stop waiting to do it and do it.
That's right.
Pay for all your people.
That's right.
Stop waiting to do and do it. Put your money together, get some buildings. Put your money together, buy some farms. Do something with it that's real. Because it's not real. It's not real to begin with. You all know that, right?
Yeah.
It's called a Federal Reserve note. They took the promise off of it.
And reserve, that means it's put aside. Note means debt.
It's nothing. And if you think about the fact that gold and silver have been going down for almost 2.5, 3 weeks now,
Yes.
and the dollar is going up, and the debt is higher than it's ever been. The financial logic of that is not real. It's because it's all self-generated, self-controlled by the powers that be. They do with it whatever they want. And they want everybody to get relaxed and happy and start spending and doing and pulling their money out and saving and putting it in the stock market and all that old nice stuff. But it's getting ready to fall. All right?
That's why they want to get the gun, because middle class.
And exactly why they want to get the gun.
Ain't into rules or noodles.
Because the Europeans are going to lose their minds in mass numbers, and they know they're coming straight for those government buildings, and that's why they were buying all that ammo. They have bought more ammo in the last 2 years than they've had in 25.
In history.
All right, so wake up.
As a matter of fact, they be saying at the gun shows they can't get ammo.
Can't get ammo. They can't keep up with the demand.
Like for real. But my good brother.
Taj, this is going to be off the right there a little
No, it's
bit.
not.
You were reading out of the article or that newspaper.
Yeah,
in reference
Al Rock and Scar.
Right, in reference to Hannibal. And you said he was a Moor?
Yeah.
No. Just follow me for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess they diluted it because that's the first time I ever heard that Hannibal was a Moor. No. So can you elaborate, because what they say about our brother,
let's
what they say about him,
yeah,
and maybe they was distorting it, because I know how they do stuff. They put it in reversal, as our sister just spoke. They put everything in reverse.
All right.
In reference to him.
Even today in military,
right,
Hannibal's tactics are used in military studies and strategies today. Now remember, like in secret societies, they'll give you, say, the king of Tyre or Tyre, and then they'll talk about his daughter, Queen Dodo. Remember, like when you see in the Quran, when it says when the Moors we went into Asia.
Yes.
If you understand.
Yes.
Now remember the land that we call Asia.
Yes.
what you call Africa, or Africa today was still Asia, like Asia Minor, not just on the west side, Asia Minor. Now, what is called in world history in the war records, you know, because they changed names in order to confuse people. So when you hear Saracen, Carthaginians, you're talking Moors. You understand? So when you're talking Queen Dodo, you're talking Carthage.
Wow.
If you understand, that would be the northern coast of Africa, which today is called Morocco, Libya, Tunisia. That's Carthage. And Hannibal and Hasdrubal, his brother, were warring with the Romans. And so now you're going into the period of world history which is called also the Punic Wars.
Going back to the beginning.
So Punici, Punici actually means Phoenicians. You see? So you gotta really gotta understand history and language to understand how they hide history. And so if you don't know that's you, logically you keep thinking them over there. It's like people today when you teach them about their Moorish bloodline. Oh, you know those Moors, I know some Moors over there that make peanut butter sandwiches on Tuesdays and stuff like that. You know, like they're not Moors. It's like a Chinese don't think these yellow guys come out, well, the Chinese, I'm going to the Chinese store over there. They're looking like this. Brother, the Chinese are not yellow guys. And it's sort of like the difficulty of getting our people to get away from the crayon brands they think is real, you know. So Queen Dodo is actually the queen of what is called Carthage. And Carthage is that north and west area which comprises today Algeria, Morocco, Tunis, Egypt, that you call capital dominion of the Moroccan Empire, chapter 47.
Yes.
And so this is why in secret societies they will even tell stories about the king of Tarik.
Yes.
So when you think king of Tarik, think his daughter, Dodo, then thus Morocco. You got to understand that. See? So that's why it's important for you to have a knowledge of world history. You got to look at world history. You cannot study African history without studying world history.
Yeah.
And you must learn the delineation of different names, some which are geographical and some which are of natural persons, but done strategically to hide. And so you'll see you come from, say, the Punic Wars on up to the Christian Crusades. You deal with, say, Sophia. They keep changing it back and forth, that big temple. And also when you say Turkey, being part, say, Africa and Asia, you know, land on both sides, Constantine, you understand, where Prophet Muhammad took off the head of Constantine. There's both allegorical and otherwise. And so unless you know European history and world history, you cannot know your own history.
Right.
And so, so when you say Carthaginian, people think, oh, well, Hannibal and Hasdrubal was Carthaginians. Sure, they was Moors. And we have sister cities. We also have Carthage in Southwest Africa, in South America too. Do you understand? Because everything we laid out astrologically, after the great super devere, or the dividing of the land between Ham and Cush, the mother, or what you call the father, left the house and came to the west. And those of us who crossed the river are called the Ibri, or what you call Hebrew. It is a doing not of different people, you see? So the Hamithites are actually the Hebrew. That's us. That's why our fez are 7 inches, because we're the daddy. Do you understand?
Islam.
And the 7 is with the cycle of the universe. That's why you got the four cycles here, 4, and each one has 3. Your 4 and your 3 in the circle, circle 7 of the universe is the womb of woman, and she crowned us. And so it came from the Moabite into the Moorish nation when it went patriarchal. But this is her crown. She gave it to us.
Islam.
You understand what I'm saying? And this is also why the proper one is red, and then you have different colors for different degrees. This is the law giver.
Allah.
You understand? By active use. You understand? And so then that's representing both the minister, the counsel, lawgiver, philosopher, PhD too. You understand? And if you wear it, you're supposed to be able to dispense that. If you understand. Now, the white one would be, or blue and green would be given by the sisters in ritual to their sons who are worthy of it, who have done extraordinary things in society. Other than that, you wouldn't see them wearing that. But again, like I said, Hannibal's more. And so is you. Get used to the sandwiches. Understand? It's not your brother.
Islam. In Baltimore, there's several groups that protest down at the courthouse various times and blah, 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 and different things that's happening. However, in the corner, there's a picture, an oil painting picture on the corner of the courthouse. And it is a picture of Scipio Africanus. And so you would, I walk by it and I, whoa, hold up, wait a minute. And I look, and so there hasn't been any protest from the, Negro groups at all. But there'll be protests on other things, maybe meaningful to them, but really it doesn't matter. But a picture, a big oil paint picture of Scipio Africanus on the corner of the courthouse.
Yes.
And there has been no outcry, no nothing.
Because they don't know. Right.
Absolutely. And I'm going to do a video. I'm going to do a video in front of the picture. And make sure I get everybody a copy.
That's symbolic, yeah.
And one more thing relating to the ammo. Last Wednesday, Tuesday, I went to a gun shop called the Cop Shop. And I wanted to get me some ammo, and I need to re-up. And the guy told me there's no more ammunition. He told me, and I told my brother Amun Shabazz Rahel, that you want any type of ammunition, you have to go to Fort Meade. There's a gun range by Fort Meade. Well, Fort Meade is NSA.
Yeah.
So I said, well, why is there any ammo? He said, we just don't have any ammo. He got, emotional by me asking, but that's what's happening right now. And so one of the things that from what, you and Brother Savage said, this is where it's at. Islam.
Well, it's actually what you see in the implementation of King Alfred Plan and Rex 84. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the ammo that they're buying in government are hollow point.
Hollow points.
And armor piercing. And armor piercing, yes. Hollow point and armor piercing. Good brother Mike.
You got all kinds of lead plates on grills.
On the ammo that I get, because I just went to a gun show about 2 weeks ago, because I had a postal grill for my pistol. And it was very slim with the ammo they had.
Yeah, and then the full price was up.
So, the people that I deal with, we make our own ammo. Lead plates. They get lead from the stores where they have fires. And you melt the lead down and make your own bullets.
And then you have to crush.
You gotta get the primers. And then you melt. And the gunpowder, that's like, he buried a lot of it. So his is all hot and buried. But they made that so you can't get the gunpowder. And so make your own. Just like we did back in the day with the falls, when we shot the black powder.
Again, as you all know, the reason you see all this taking place is because they know it's over. And whereas, again, like we said, when it comes to us, like we could do oodles and noodles type thing. See where the brother eating that spaghetti back down, you can tell like it's serious. We'll be eating noodles and noodles like that. Europeans, they be going, something's really wrong. You know, their eyes start spinning and stuff. They start jumping out of windows and killing the parakeets. They do strange stuff.
Recently, I just try to watch a lot of documentaries, a lot of broadcasting with this new thing they just said about the IRS, with the Secretary of State was wanting to do something with them because they frauded a whole lot of corporations. Corporations. So some stuff get ready to hit the fan.
No, it's hit the fan. They got bounty tissues wiping stuff as fast as they can. They just
reiterate on something was said about the ammo. One of the things about the ammo, people don't realize that it's the national security agencies that are buying all this ammo. This is ammo that is illegal in international law to use at war. This is an in-house party these boys are preparing for. Hollow point round is illegal to use. Vietnam, Afghanistan, anywhere there's war going on. That is internationally illegal to use that. So you're really focusing on just how deep that is. They're guaranteeing ammo that you can't use when you're at war with somebody.
Matter of fact, you get locked up, they see you carry.
You know, and this is what they intend to unleash and unfurl.
Because hollow point, when it hits, it spreads.
Yeah, right, on the people here. So I just don't want to make sure that little point got to buy inside.
Yeah, spreads out. Go in, make a little hole, splits out, make a big hole in the back. So you bleed out. So you can't even do the emergency plastic with a sucking wound. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you take emergency plastic with a sucking wound or something like that, don't make no difference. So you already know, the middle class start protesting. This is back to the issue. Brother, listen.
Yes, sir.
This is back to the issue. It's not wise for them to be protesting. No, serious.
No, sir.
Today, the battle must be done with absolute spiritual intelligence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It must be done in a battle that can't be expressed in words. You know, and it's even back to the issue, whereas, like the brother was saying, that they down there protesting, you know, with a representation picture of Scipio Africanus, and they don't even know the history. They're incompetent. You know what I mean? He's Africanus because he takes the name on the people or the nation states that he conquered. So therefore, Scipio Africanus, even though we say it named after, actually the cognomen system by which they operate for Roman conquest is when they conquer a nation or if they conquer a territory, they take on the name of that conquest territory and tack it to their cognomen.
I got it right here. Pardon me, I just wanted to add on just a few things. Since we was talking about war, I was reading, I think this should be mandatory for everybody to do. Just look up the word occupy and occupation. The only way they get that off is if they're treating you as if you're a nobody, you don't exist. And in the Negro black color status, that is very real. That means they have a right to claim something that's abandoned. And Taj goes over
It's called abandoned ship.
Right, but in reality, like under military law, everything, if somebody claims that the state, they cannot occupy it at that point if they are the actual possessors of that specific estate.
This is the reason why they pissed off at Obama for signing the rights of indigenous people.
Right, and on top of that, just to add on what the brother was saying about Hannibal, it's pretty interesting when you look at it. I don't know, I gotta speculate on it some more. But from what I understand is that that's probably one of the reasons we lost, because he had his son vouching hate at 9 years old against the Romans. And the only savior is love. Now I can't say, well, he shouldn't have did that or he shouldn't have did this. Yeah. Because back then it was what it was.
Well, what they were doing, they were burning, see, the Romans would burn and murder the women and the children.
Right.
Matter of fact, that's how they defeated us here.
Right.
They started murdering our women and children and killing the animals. The Moors didn't lose, we gave up. After the Shemites were trading and telling the Europeans where we kept our women and children up in the mountains and in hidden places, and also in the chambers under Philadelphia. Philadelphia is built on ancient chambers. A lot of people don't know that. This is the reason why when they do any what you call architectural building in Philadelphia, unlike different areas, they'll put up solid fences. So that you don't see some of the ancient artifacts that they find down there, because we've been here for about 1 million years actually. Really over 70,000 years in the West. You know, even before the earth shifted. You know, and so they have to hide the information in Philadelphia. This is also why you see in the Septuaginta, when it talks about the 7 cities which are in Asia, one of them is Philadelphia, because it's key of the 7 cities which are in Asia. Of course, you're in Asia. See, but then you got to do the ancient history. But it's also in Asia of the temples of the moon and sun. The sun and moon, which is also the name of North America, the North Gate. You see, and also representative of the activation of the chakras, and of course the land of flowers, which is the fountain of youth, which is the herb systems that we use. You know, all that stuff.
Right, and I also just wanted to share this, if I should say, because I was doing the etymology. I'm like, all these words I'm using, what don't I know? And I happen to be studying. I don't know, someone else might know this, but for those who don't, the word Hamatite simply means home. Ham means home, that's what it means. It also, in certain languages, it breaks down to Martel, M-A-R-T-E-L, Hamatite.
Now you see, but also Martel, Charles the Hammer Martel, if he hadn't defeated the Moors in 732, near Poitiers, near France, that all of Europe would still be Islamic today.
Which brings me to this next thing I want to, and I'm still studying, but I want to know, like, what exactly happened, because before this big inquisition that really kicked off and changed everything in the Western Hemisphere, when they was expelling Moors from Al-Andalus, the French was like, y'all are more than welcome to domicile here. The bishops, everybody was welcoming Moors to stay in France.
Well, many of them were aiding us. You understand, because they know the history. Right. You got to remember. You got to deal with the broader issue. What is the broader karmic issue of the Moors? Well, this is the broader karmic issue. In spite of the original intent being a preservation of civilization, the violation of the mixing between the animal, chimpanzee, and the human, which you will see in the Bible where it says, when the God says to his children, says, look what you have brought. When it talks about amalgamation, that's what amalgamation, that's why they refer to it as the amalgamated Moors. What is the problem of the world? The amalgamated Moors, which is demonstrated in the Wizard of Oz. The amalgamated Moors is represented by what? The witch of the East, witch of the West. You get the whole point. The feminine principle of rulership. They're talking to you about the fall of the Moorish Empire. Red ruby slippers 3 times. You got to really understand the zodiac constitution of yellow brick road, Emerald City, Venus.
Can I just add on one more thing? And back to French and what you're saying now. The word Hittite actually is related to the word Haiti direct. You can look this up if you could do some extensive research. Haiti actually is a corruption of Hittite or vice versa.
And you will see their commitment that Hittites will never rise, which is why they would never allow them to build another airport. And with all the billions of notes that came from around the world in support of Haiti, when the earthquake took place, the Europeans here squandered all, and they went there and got those children and were stealing their organs in the name of helping them. And that's a commitment of the Christian church.
And I just want to say this last thing before I pass this mic, since you mentioned Dorothy and Emerald City. If you do the etymology on the word emerald alone, every language that is rooted from has the word Moor in it. Whether it be M-O-R-A-M-E-R-U or M-A-U-R-E, somewhere the word Moor is in every etymon or in the etymon, all the linear languages of that word emerald. And the oldest one was Sanskrit. And in Sanskrit, emerald is pronounced Merakata.
Yes.
Just wanted to share that.
And of course, you get Matakush, Matacanos when you go into the war record, and you look at the treaty, it says, refer to North America as Al-Matacanos. That's what I'm saying.
Give it a mic.
You really need the mic.
Turn it on.
It'd be a good idea.
Okay. When the Haiti earthquake happened or whatever, I couldn't understand why the Dominican Republic wouldn't allow the Haitians to come over, and they have been fighting.
Some of them did.
Yeah, but the majority didn't.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know why.
The politics.
And it goes deeper than that.
No, because then the Europeans would attack them.
It goes
You
deeper
got to
than
remember,
that.
this is the oath.
It goes deeper than that.
This is the oath with Toussaint, who was setting up the republic for the Asiatics of the North to come to AT. See, because they're dealing with the old history. Our people here are separated mentally, but everybody's not separated. They know where they are. They know who they are. We're the ones that think people are crayons and that they ain't our brothers and sisters.
Okay, but
now hold on, listen. Anybody that helped them, see, because the Christians are committed, their dominance of the Western Hemisphere is key to the subjugation of Haiti. That's part of that's a strategic key. No difference than, say, remember when Farrakhan was going to get that coins from Gaddafi? And they started asking about Malcolm, he started talking about that's internal business, like the Nation of Islam, nation business, like, right? Then he started talking about the Constitution, gives him the right. At that time he blew it. Now, and so when he was coming back, if he came back through New York, they would have seized him. But he came back through Louisiana territory through Empress Ghost and Leo Bay with a national alcohol.
Okay, so did you make the turn this microphone for now?
Listen what I'm saying to you. What they will do, if you help somebody that they're against, they will turn the attack on you. This is why Dominica was resisting.
Okay.
Mainly, even though there were other past issues, that's the major issue.
Okay.
Clear.
My point was this. What I found out, the reason why they didn't like each other way prior to that is because Haitians don't respect the Dominicans because they amalgamated with the Europeans.
The amalgamation.
That was my point. That was my point. I know that was my point.
You could have said it on time,
Because really, I mean, because it is, because the problem of the world has been the amalgamated wars. But you got to remember, a lot of people hold us responsible for that because we created them. And then, in other words, like this is basically what's happening. We created Frankenstein and they have been running. Rather than... Yeah, he took the building in Florida and he nationalized the building and told them they don't come with no driving license, talking about national ID. And they've been fussing trying to get him out because he knows he's out Moroccan. Right? And then when they start seeing that we're conscious and we start speaking up, that gives them encouragement. Because we're the daddy. When we start speaking up, the world begins to be free. You know, then they'll start stepping up. But again, we up here in the north are still purging. We have to get this idea out of our heads that we're different people. But also the Asiatics also know that it is no different from the Christian policy. If the sister can't read and they catch you teaching her to read, they'll hang you. You understand what I'm saying? So you're reluctant to do certain things to help your brother and sister because you know the Christians will murder people. Even though they're talking to Jesus, you already know they're just fronting. Everybody really knows that even though they say these things as if they have some kind of allegiance in their heart, they know these people are murderers from the beginning. They abide not in the truth because the truth is not in them. And when they speak of a lie, they speak it of their own kind. John 8:44. It ain't a secret. You know, Islam.
The new issue happening, of course, you know, I'm gonna say Baltimore, right? Is that one of the ways they hang you for teaching is when teachers teach outside of the curriculum of the German 1940 teachings. You teach out of that curriculum, you will be unemployed.
Right.
And so that's the thing now. They are exercising it even more as they close the schools down. Any professor or teacher or whatever, even at the colleges or the community colleges, if you're not tenured, means you ain't there. If you teach outside the curriculum, you're done.
Yeah. And for those who were here earlier they had Van Sertler, on the tape. Now, I talked to him, I think it was like in 9 or 02 or 03 when he was at Temple University. I have to check that, see if maybe that was the tape, I don't know. I don't remember that, I think I remember Sue on. And when I was talking to him about, because the secretary came in the back of the room and asked me that he wanted to speak to me before I left. I was actually in the back of the room. And when you signed my book, I was asking him, I said, why don't you just tell these people they're Moors, because you've got all the information in your book before you on this, etc. And he said, if I told them just like that, they would deport me. But that's in the same vein of what you're saying. Even people who are, progressive, they're under threat. You know what I mean? So what happened, like, when Noble Jolly went to Calvin Coolidge, and when he commanded for them to bring the flag out of the vault, etc. They said, give Islam back to these niggas like put a pair of pants on a horse. He said, he did. He said, but if you can get 500 to follow you, I'd back you with my army and navy. Well, he got a couple million, and they infiltrated the temples, and you all saw from this to the day. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that. Even the fact that they tortured him. They tortured him, they set him on a block of ice, and interrogated him and tortured him. And then when they delivered him to the hands of the sellout Moors, and he died in the lap of a brother. You know what I mean? Why? Because he sacrificed his life to bring the book right back to his people. And they don't know the real history. They think it's some kind of religion. It's their real world history. The world's largest estate. And these people are the heirs to the world's largest estate. And they still talk in crayons. Light skin, orange skin, green people. It don't matter whether people black, white, and all that kind of stuff. So we have incompetency that we have to overcome. And civilized world is waiting on us. And this is why the international community has commanded in every recent law coming from the nations of the earth for these people to declare their nationality. Right. But if you don't fix that, nothing else counts. It's not, my brother. Excuse me.
They have traded.
Get the brother some mic.
Since they infiltrated the temples, that means some of the information we had today is misinformation.
No, what you find is not so much misinformation because the temples are right. What you'll find is misadministration. Let me make this simple to you. Some of the information that we dispense to you right now, in a venue like this, would not be allowed on them floors. Yep. Not because it's not true, because it would cause those in positions of authority to have to take people to degrees they don't intend to take them to. Are we clear? Now, listen to this. These are rules. You know how, when in doubt, study principle. Keep this in mind. Don't get caught up in personalities. Study principle. Universal. Like say Drew Ali said, I'm a universal prophet, and my philosophy will be universal. I came to you Moors only because you need me the most. That's to let you know that they don't own him. Do you understand? Rule. In order to change the people, you must change their literature. That's a charge from the prophet to all shakuns, all grand chiefs, all sheikesses, all grand governors, etc. Not only as a charge, but in the rule of civilization, for you to carry a title you must produce literature that the public can cross-reference and critique to see whether or not you're consistent with your position, or to see if your positions that you stand upon are provable and that will stand the test of time or a challenge in order to carry a position. Therefore, any PhD, some persons holding positions of authority or persons, you should not necessarily have to meet them. You should be able to meet their literature and therefore meet them. And if they haven't produced any literature and they carry that title, they are a fraud. All right? Again, rule. No drale. Our press of our own, is the most powerful weapon in the hand of our group today. That's no drale. Without our own press, we'll never be able to shovel ourselves out from the lies that are heaped upon us by the day. Right? No drale. Every temple must have a school. That's a qualification for a temple to be. These, what I'm telling you, are qualifications for both the leadership and for the temples. Are we clear? So my position to you for your comprehension and your understanding would be, if you walk into this building and this is claimed to be a temple, right? And I have an adeptship, and I have no literature for you to cross-examine my position, I didn't belong in that position. If you come in a building and it's a temple and they don't have a school, it's not a temple. If you come in that building, they have not maintained the press like the prophet said, it's not a temple. His wife, Sister Pearl Ali, set up women's auxiliary for women to learn both business, etymology, science, home ec, etc. Have you ran into any temple that has any of these things that I just mentioned? Then you haven't been to a temple. You see the problem? But yet there's a lot of places that are called Moorish Science Temple, aren't they? But if you don't know the rules, people can get away with that. This causes confusion because people go to them, and then not only, as a matter of fact, one of the unfortunate things that I recognize, and that has been reported to me in most recent times, and it's not new really, but so many people have gone to different temples across the country, and more bad experiences they have to report than good, which is not good. Do you understand? Yes. Meaning that once they get any information on Noble Drale and then start studying him and then go to these buildings that are called temples, these people are acting contrary to what he himself has projected for the good and the development of these people. So then the people leave, and then they are charged with being irresponsible rather than charging the administrators with being corrupt, which is why caveat emptor exists. Are we clear? And so I'm saying to you, if you would say to me, does that mean that the information we're getting is corrupted? To some degree, like when I showed you this information here, see, I went to Chicago. Do you understand? I flew to Chicago, I stayed there a few days, I went to the archives. I went into the libraries and got microfilm. Wow. From the 20s. And did research. Do you understand? And was this? Yes. Nobody had to tell me. Not that I didn't know it, because I could project it and see it anyway, but I went to see records because there's always dispute. And so with the divine constitution, it says part and parcel, P-A-R-C-E-L in the divine constitution, which means a land, a parcel of land, an estate. They altered it in most of these Moorish Science Temple. You see part and partial, which means attitude. They tampered with it. When you start doing some research, you'll see they did it in 4 parts, in 4 sections. This is another reason why in the newspaper I published that years ago. And I also, which is why a lot of them don't like me. They hate Taj God. But I don't care. I'm not here for them. You understand? I didn't come here to mess with them or to play big chief. You understand? I don't need the title. My mom assigned me. You understand? No, it's the truth. My mother assigned me. So I don't need that. I don't need the title. I don't need this. You understand what I'm saying? Because my mom made me, and I ain't confused about that. You understand what I'm saying to you? But the point that I'm saying is, once you understand the rules of the game, you know how to measure everything. You don't put your bias in it. We, in the carnal form, logically have our little idiosyncrasies, but you're supposed to have the capacity to overcome that and just stay in the spirit and look at things for what they are, accept them for what they are, and do the best you can according to your assignment. But you must know yourself to know your assignment. You understand? Now, if you just go into the divine warning by the prophet for the nations, the message to America, and the plea to the nation, it tells you everything. If you're confused after that about what this movement is all about, it's two things. You can't read, you're insincere, or whatever adjectives you want to add, which means this stuff is really, really simple, and including religious controversy. And then you go into his dispensation on the Renaissance. That will send you into European history. It will open up so many doors of information that it will amaze you how much is in them little books. You know, and so I say to you, study. Question is valid, you'll answer it yourself. But the major issue is that people who have other agendas other than honor will never be able to hide once you start doing research. Then you decide what master you want to serve. You know, and so it looks like Rome is winning. Some will capitulate. Let it be so. However, I'm not worshiping the popes of Rome no matter what. Do you understand? And you decide, you know, whether you want to honor your mothers and fathers or you want to keep Rome in power. And logically, as you look at the dynamics that Drali set up, it will become so obvious a child could really understand it. But what occurs is, what it makes you recognize is that how ugly this thing is, how naive we've been, and how close to the surface the ugly really is once they start seeing you wake up. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But then again, it will also demonstrate to you who amongst you been trying to put you back in servitude. And you don't have to guess it. Thus, measure that. Any temple, any church, any mosque or synagogue, you can walk in and recognize whether or not they want to raise the people or whether they don't, because they're all measured by the same rule. Wow. And this is why Drali said, he says, I come to make you priests unto yourselves. And it is done by virtue of giving you the secrets that the priesthood have held back. That's what the Circle 7 really is. It's really giving you some of the Kabbalistic lessons that were held up in the Tibet area to keep the Christians from having burnt everything.
Come on.
And as a matter of fact, there were some Europeans that brought some of it out in actually the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. It's coded in that for many of them in the secret societies, which is really the Circle 7 Quran.
Come on, Doc.
You know, once you really kind of understand the real politics, you'll kind of understand why sometimes Europeans indirectly, although, you know, they can't come out open, will support in the background trying to get this republic back. That's why Drali said, look, the Negro problem is your problem. Some of the Europeans are trying to help me. Why aren't you? You know, and so you will see, once you get grounded in the fundamental literature, you and anybody else can guide themselves accordingly. You can see who's the fraud, who ain't, just like you look at the Europeans in their color cooperations. You'll know anybody that start talking about their temple. All you gotta do, you know the measurements, right? Right? So that's like, you know, it's like, it's sort of like if you're doing a Wendy's burger or McDonald's, right? So we come to McDonald's and we decide we want to get some burgers. And you start saying, burgers, we ain't into that. We can give you some salad. Not that we want to do the salad, but it came for a burger because McDonald's designed a burger. And so the deal is you measure by your charter. You see? So if one of the requirements, just like when we deal with the corporate states, for a state to be a part of the union, Article 4, Section 4, it must have a Republican form of government. So as soon as they say democracy, you already know they're not legitimate. It's not confusing, unless you're confused. You understand? So logically, if you go to a Moorish Science Temple and there's no school, you already know that ain't a Moorish Science Temple. That's somebody talking about it. If you go in there, they're not producing literature, but they got titles. You already know that's not a Moorish Science Temple. In other words, they're operating under color. And what is color in law? A presentment, a simulacrum, right? Right? Prima facie, as distinguished from that which is real. Therefore, for we to know the difference, you must study, so that you can tell the wheat from the chaff. Lest you, what? Get deceived by the connotative linguistics which was introduced to cause you to go to sleep. Fair enough? Right. Well then, it's fine, good brother.
Islam, I'm getting in trouble. I have to fix something.
Crunching, you ain't in trouble.
Like, I'm in trouble. My tassels out in full. All right. Mother over here told me I had to fix something. Food and land becomes the most important resource you can have. How long can you eat and survive when the grocery store is not open?
Y'all hear that, right?
How long can you eat and survive when the grocery store is not open?
How to eat to live, 1 meal a day.
Hey, how long?
How long?
Yeah,
You got 3 days? Anybody else? How much you got?
I got 6 months.
6 months?
I got 6 months.
6 months? My sister got ahead of me. I didn't get to the part she wants me to get to. I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose. No, you're not. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Now,
you got to feed us. Come on, tell me.
You can live with, you can't live without water, and that's one of the things that we need to start really preparing our homes, disaster preparedness in our homes.
I'm good. I got
You know
water.
that we can't live without water. You can live without food, but you can't live without food.
now, yes, and that's good. Let me tell you all something real quick because of the time cycle. Now, you all keep, you know, like the clear plastic that you have? You know, like they have on drop cloths and everything?
Yes.
Clear plastic, you put over a pan and put it like dig in the ground and put it on the surface and wrap it with the plastic, right, at the ground surface, but wrap it around so that, you know, dirt don't get in it or like little bugs don't get in it. And you take a quartz stone, a quartz stone, and put it in the middle to make an inverted pyramid. And in a couple of days, the condensation in the morning will accumulate water for you. No, yeah, in the dirt. Yeah, because remember the moon draws water from the earth every morning to feed the plant life. Now listen. The moon controls the water, the tides, the blood cycles, the rhythms of the waters. In the morning, what you call dew is really the moon pulling water from the earth to water the plants and everything else. You can find it even in the desert if you know how to do it. You take like a pan or a bowl or something like that, and you wrap it with plastic, you know, like the clear plastic that you cover windows with, anything like that, right, any plastic. And then you take a quartz stone. Quartz stones are usually those smooth stones, those smooth rocks, smooth. And they will create cool condensation. And yes, and also crystals. And then crystals. You can take any stone like crystals like this, right? And in the middle of the I apologize because I forgot to tell you. In the middle of the plastic, you punch maybe like 3 holes or something like that. And you lay the stone over top of those holes. And it will draw water from the atmosphere and it will accumulate in the pan and you will have fresh, clean water to drink. Make more than one so that you can accumulate. The other deal of it is you want to find the areas where like the animals don't pee and poop and stuff like that. And go get dandelions. The dandelions, the reason why they make the chemicals to kill dandelions and tell them that they're weeds because it's one of your best food sources.
Yup.
Yes, you use the root to make tea to keep your kidneys clean. And you'll take the root, the leaves, and make spinach. Then you can take the flower and make elixir wine out of it for keeping some worms down. Do you understand? All right. Now, do you all know sassafras? Do you recognize the leaf?
No.
Well, you're going to learn how to recognize the leaf. As a matter of fact, I'll go get some. I'll go down to the community center and ask one a day or two before. Then I'll go back and get the root.
Look like your finger.
Yeah. But remember. Yes? Yeah, good. But remember, before you take the root, always ask her.
Yes.
Before. You go ask her maybe a day before, even in the morning. You go ask her. And then you go get roots, stay out away from the trunk. Go to the ends, and she won't pull the sap back. As a matter of fact, they'll make sure that you have what you need.
Get it around right? Around all the time. That's
yeah. Well, you talk about white or red. Well, you do that for warming purposes.
Right.
You know, but I'm just saying in general, cleansing teas.
Right.
You know, you can get her at any season, but you gotta be in harmony with her so that the potency is there. And just ask her and come back later on and get the roots, but stay out away close from the trunk. And they'll be quite potent. You can use that, that's both medicinal and it's also a pleasant tea. You're also going to learn certain weeds. Some of the weeds that they call like the milk plant.
Milk thistle?
Yeah, you can use that for healing, for wounds and stuff like that. Milk, they call it milk thistle. Anyway, and there's a lot of other stuff. So what we'll do, we'll bring some things and then show you, because you're gonna have to know it anyway. You got to get back to it anyway if you wanna, you know, because you gotta take care of your babies and stuff. It's not. Thank you, sis, with your considerations on the first step.
Thank you.
But so keep that in mind, because you don't have to. You really just need to get back to the fundamentals. And we gave up a lot of this stuff. As a matter of fact, they study your stuff anyway. That's how they make medicines and stuff like that. And like even angelica root. So you're going to find angelica root, and that's they'll use that like St. John's wort and stuff like that. And that's one of your most ancient herbs that you use for women around when they're cycling. Angelica root. Yes. And so you make teas out of that, put it in the refrigerator, and so that keeps your reproductive organs in good health. You know, and also for women who have pain during that cycle, you can use angelica root. That should be commonly used, but they don't tell women so they can sell them Motrin and stuff like that. It's not.
When we started out before, we talked about
Speak a little louder.
prepping and getting ourselves prepared. I was so interested in that. We never followed up about getting ourselves prepared, you know, for the foods that
We can't hear you. Can you repeat?
Foods. You know, we talked about that.
Oh yes, and it's like anything else. You know, one of the things that we do, and it's really unfortunate because we're so stressed down with so many issues that very often we don't get to everything, and so we'll have to remind me, and then again start having what you would call some more issue-specific classes, but they would have to be not in a venue like this. A venue like this, you have so many different spirits, so many people come from so many degrees of illness that you deal in general, and that would be your more or less private roundtable classes, whereas you may deal with subject matter specific only, and then deal with direct materials. But then again, if we can get trustfully people more active where those things can be carried out yourself, because we have so much work to do to counter what Rome has had a couple hundred years to do. But once you start giving people some of the fundamental truths unconscious to them and unknown to them, it will wake up old memory that they already have. They just don't believe they have it. They think that they can only get it from Rome. But if you can speak to their spirit man, you'll wake up stuff in them they don't even know they have. But don't worry about what they think they got. You just got to stay on the principles. But again, so we're going to have to teach people fundamental, how to go into the woods for both healing herbs, to know certain plant species that are toxic, you know, and even though you can teach them on certain fungi, you know, my position with the fungi is for the most part, unless the people really know, don't even teach them so they don't go there. You know, so they don't be flying over the Empire State Building, you know, or killing themselves. But different things like that. But you know, it's so much. But as far as basic stuff for survival, they must know how to acquire water. They got to know how to fish. They got to know how to go into the yard. Things that they thought were weeds are really food. They just were told they were weeds so that they can control you in the grocery stores.
Right.
But most everything around you, like the book of Deuteronomy says, every herb-bearing tree shall be meat for you. See, so it's really the fruits, the leaves, and the nuts that are really meat. But what they've done is told people that the carcasses are meat, and the people listen to them, and they get diseases. You understand? So they have more munchies and call it meat, and it's really not meat. They're simply carcasses and death. Islam, good brother.
Queen, you want to?
Oh, mushroom, thank you.
Islam says.
Islam, brother. I wanted to, for anybody who's not aware of what the fungi is, we're talking about mushrooms. Mushrooms can be very good for all of us. However, if you don't know what you're looking at, you can eat a mushroom and kill yourself.
Yes.
As simple as that. So when he said the fungi, he's talking about the mushrooms. Okay. And it's also very important that each of us knows how to spot clean water spaces, even if we're not where animals are. One of the main things about a clean water space or finding clean water in nature, if you don't know how to get water from the sap of the trees and you don't have a crystal to pull it from, you look for a stream that has lots of rocks and lots of green in it, meaning it's got algae and moss and all that. And if it's running across the rocks and has the algae and moss, that's clean water that you can drink. The moss and the algae is the chlorophyll, and it puts the chlorophyll back into the water to help your system to generate and utilize the rays from the sun and all that. So I just want to mention that. Anywhere you find water running across rocks and it's green, that's water that you can safely take.
Yes. Islam.
Islam also, I'm a part of the Universal Peace Federation. Yes. And I was Master Sun Young Moon. And just like the Prophet said, if the Europeans helping me, why not me?
Why not you?
Well, one of the, our great sister Fola L here and myself, we went to visit this Caucasian, and he has a farm. And he has actually sat with me and offered to have some of what they call the inner city, to offer some of the children or young people to come and learn how to build greenhouses. And we made hummus and everything else. So I just want to hand these out so you can take a look at it. And they have it's based in DC, and one like we discussed earlier today about how there's a misunderstanding that the paperwork and everything is about battling the courts and blah, blah, blah. Well, this is an international situation here. Yes. So the paperwork is not just for your status alone, but it's also for you to unite yourselves with the families of nations. So I just want to hand that out. You can get the information because this guy has a farm. Yes. And we have a plot of land in Baltimore. Yes. And he wants to sit together with pastors, right? And grow greenhouses and grow our own food. Yes. Now this is a Caucasian. They don't want to do it. They lazy. So, you know me, I'm Mr. Universal Ambassador guy.
Yeah.
So, I sat with him, we sat down. So, if any Moors in the Baltimore area or Maryland area want to get down on the get down, then this guy is willing to show us and teach us how to eat to live.
Yes. Islam. Also, I want to mention, because you already know what's going to occur with the fiat.
Yeah.
Sister Elisa, I wanted to, her, now she has much experience in financial compound processes, etc. Can you come up for a minute and speak, sis? The technical skills and abilities of Bas Natsabur, please.
Just wondering where to begin, really. I've been speaking with Taj about how to generate finances to just do many things that we need to do. Some of you know Brother Lincoln Bey from Atlantic City, and one of the things that I proposed to him the other day was generating finances so that we have a law class, a law firm, an Aboriginal law firm, and for that to be headed by Brother Lincoln, Brother Taj, and any others that are competent. Many of us are losing our homes, and people are just throwing monies out at people who pretend that they have processes. It's better than just that they just do it for free for you, because if they don't have a remedy, they don't have a true remedy. I hate to say that you just lost your money, but it was kind of wasteful. We just need to reestablish government, and it takes finances. And a lot of people are out here pretending to know this and pretending to know that. And what I see is a lot of people are, I hate to say it like this, but broke. Period. We're suffering. And right now what we have is the Federal Reserve note. Use it like the brother, I forget which brother it was, who said, you know, use what you have. This is what we have available to us, not that we can't barter with one another. However, I stay in the money game because I'm trying to generate enough finances for us so that we can go ahead and do these various things that we need to do. And don't think that you don't need those kernels. You gotta get gas, we gotta pay the telephone bill, we gotta go to the laundromat, we gotta buy parts for our cars. There's so many different things. We have to buy hats, we need to buy dashikis, we need to buy fezzes, period. We need to buy glasses, computers, whatever it is. And sister, does it not take finances to do these things? Okay. I want to generate monies for us. I have various contacts in the government that offer various programs to me. And I want to be able to take advantage of that. I actually didn't know Sister Ross was going to be here today, but I was actually going to ask Taj and Sister Ross Mariah to sit down with me so that we could put something on her website, which is our website, so that some donations can come in. I can get us into a gold transaction that we're not taking possession of the gold. I'm interested in the currency, in the monies that come in at the end of the day. I don't want to say certain things right on film. I'll sit with you and Taj and Ross Mariah privately, okay? Okay, sis? Because I don't want to say certain things. Because I don't know where videos go. But we need the monies to do the things that we need to do. And I want to be able to provide that service for us so that whatever the system here needs to grow this, we grow it in order to get an Aboriginal law firm so that Taj has a place, some of our Moorish brothers and sisters who can really provide remedy for us, have a home so that we can do the work that we need to do. How many people in here are having difficulties with their mortgages right now? You can put your hands up or not put your hands up. If you don't have issues with your mortgages, you know someone else does. Period. Period. I personally don't, but I know a whole bunch of people that do, and I'm putting my hands up for all of them, right? Does not Brother Lincoln know how to do some things down in the Atlantic City area? Has he not been able to provide people with the knowledge of being able to go and get foreclosure homes? Stopping foreclosures? Not just him, there are many others. Taj doesn't have, he knows what to do, but he doesn't have all the time in the world to just sit down with us individually.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely.
Because he's all over the place. He's in the universe somewhere. If you can't find him at home or New York, Delaware, down in the stratosphere somewhere. But we need a central location. I need to get some of y'all, a lot of y'all, all of y'all off of the plantation of going into these JOBs.
Yes, yes, yes.
I can provide that if you can help me raise some of the funds that we need in order to get to that next level. But we have to do it collectively. Brother Lincoln, and I'm just throwing him out there, he works at the Atlantic City, one of the casinos, we won't say where. And I asked him what it would take for him to get off that JOB. It's just money. He's staying there because he gets a paycheck. If I can raise enough monies where this young brother right here doesn't have to work, and I know he doesn't work anyplace else, but you know, if you work someplace else for someone else, you need to tell me what it takes to get you out of that job and into the Moorish community and working for us full time, right?
That's dedication.
I stay on this every day, all day, don't I? I stay on the money game all day, every day. From the moment I wake up, I'm thinking, how do I get us $10 million to do whatever. And I know what it takes to get there. I just need help with the seed money to get us there. Because I have the connections in order to do it. And they're just waiting on me. And they don't look anything like us.
Yep.
They look nothing like us.
Absolutely.
But their spirit is like us. Because I'm after humanitarian projects.
Yes.
And humanitarian projects involve us. We're the project that I'm after. Period. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
So I have different things that are constantly offered to me. Constantly. I just can't do it alone. Every day I'm in my sleep, waking up. How do I get this money? How do I go? Who do I call today to do this, to do that? I asked Taj today. Some things we'll talk later. And I'll tell you off camera what I asked him. Just part of the reason why I'm here. I didn't even know he was down here twice a month. It just so happens I picked up the phone because he was on my mind at 3 a.m. this morning. I couldn't wait to wake up and make a phone call to him. And I didn't want to call him too early, so I sat there and was doing this. I'm like, well, I won't call him too early, but okay, now I'm finally called. And the phone call, my thoughts this morning at 3 a.m. what prompted me to call a brother, and then for him to say, oh, others are like-minded, and I want to introduce you to them. There are monies out there. We don't have to be broke.
Yes.
We don't have to be broke. We're not supposed to be broke. I don't like being broke. I like getting nice things. And I want to see everyone else get nice things. We shouldn't be paying these mortgages. We already know that. Just put up there, tax fraud. For those who were here earlier, right? Magistrates, they're not judges. The magistrates commit tax fraud all day long, every day. And they are raping us, and they're taking our estates. So I just want y'all to help me raise some funds. If Prosperide wouldn't mind, if we could put something on the website where there's a donation, click donation, and we'll talk about it, and you'll eventually see it. I don't know when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it, but you'll eventually see it on that site, because it's our site. I can go a little deeper, but there's certain, I'm a little shy on camera. So I don't say certain things. I like to be private about certain things, because they don't need to know everything.
That's right.
They don't need to know my plan.
Turn that camera off. I want to hear it.
Turn the camera off.
The camera's off. That means cell phones need to go off.
Camera's off.
Turn the cell phones off.